Oh, I'm muted. Good lord, what is going on with OBS? Mutes my microphone, kicks me offline. Fucking OBS. Hate it. Hate it. Okay, so now we're back. Now we're back. I hope you can hear me now. Boy, what a mess. The scuff is real. Anyway, what I was working on until I was so rudely interrupted by my streaming software. In this track, I decided to add a scoop EQ. That can help to tighten your mix up, create some more of a bit of balance in things. And you can tailor those very custom to each track. And this reefer EQ, I like it. It's super duper simple, ultra low tech. But if you, I guess if you know a little bit about where things live in the different frequency ranges and what the different sounds are, you can really customize stuff and go really ham in this. And it's nice because it's free, it works well, sounds pretty good. So I am messing with reefer here. So I've got it off right now. So we are gonna play the track, right? And I'm gonna pop it on. Off. On. Super subtle. But it does tighten things up ever so slightly. And this is like, when I say super subtle, like this is like barely an EQ. Like 2 decibels, 3 decibels, right? We're not pulling stuff down. I might turn this up a little bit. But it's not really much of anything. This is a really, really mellow EQ. But it gives us some granular control over which frequencies are most prominent in the mix. And it lets us let those 2 dominant sounds here and here from our synthesizers, we can balance those. See, we've got a peak here and a peak kind of here. And this one was too loud. And this one, we wanted a little higher. So we put the scoop such that it could balance those the way that I wanted, where they're peaking out around the same point at their loudest. So it's very, very mellow. But it does something. It does change the sound. So that's the idea. That's like where you get into that really nitty-gritty kind of like engineering, audio engineering nerd shit that I do, that like that kind of very subtle stuff. Like at this point, like what I'm doing, you might kind of be like, guy, this is not necessary. This is overkill. But at the same time, like sometimes those little touches, maybe not in this case, but sometimes those little teeny touches are what really send your mix from like feeling muddy or crowded or just like not popping to really just popping and hitting right, you know? So I'm not trying to suggest that you should over-engineer your mix and like fiddle with every knob and do like endless tiny adjustments, because you shouldn't. Like if you're mixing and you're spending a bazillion years listening back and listening back and listening back and like tweaking little dials and knobs like 1 or 2 decibels, like you're not substantively changing things, and you're not gonna, like, that's not gonna make your mix come together. If your mix is sounding pretty good, but you're like, I need a little something more. These kinds of little mellow touches can set things off. So this mix was already sounding quite good. I was like, oh, I think we're basically getting there, right? It's almost done. And And I've only been mixing this for, well, like, I don't know, my Twitch timer's all screwed up because of the DC from OBS. But I haven't been working on mixing this for very long. Like, I did some preliminary mixing when I recorded the parts and was working on the song structure, but I've only really been mixing it for maybe a little less than an hour. Like, it hasn't been super long time. But it was getting there, and because it was getting there, I was like, I feel like I need something to kind of like tighten things up. So I could have used some compression, but with virtual instruments, I don't like to over compress. Because virtual instruments don't tend to need a ton of compression to begin with. And so I was like, well, let's try an EQ, because you can use an EQ as kind of on the mix bus as to kind of glue things together, right? And so that's where this really kind of mellow scoop EQ can act that way. So you can, even in some like equalizers and things like that, or compressor VSTs you might have like a preset that's called like mix bus glue, and it'll be super mellow compression or a super mellow EQ form. That's kind of what we just did, right? We made a mix bus glue EQ to throw on the mix before it hits our master desk software, which this is applying compression. And the compressor mode, 1 is the most aggressive compression, and 4 is the least aggressive compression that this software has. And so again, I'm using basically all, well, literally all virtual instruments here. The atmosphere instrument is sampled. It's not really a virtual instrument, but it is a virtual instrument, whatever. But because it's all virtual instruments, they don't really need a ton of compression. So I wanted the really mellow compression. So that's what we're using. And so I think now what I'm going to do is I am going to tweak some of these master desk settings. And this is just a BrainWorks, like, they call it a mastering program. If you pay someone to master your audio, they're not going to use, I mean, they might use this as part of their mastering chain, but they're not only going to use this. They're going to really custom dial in what they are doing to your audio to fit whatever format they are mastering for. So if you have somebody who's mastering your audio for like vinyl, they will specifically use like very tailored tools and whatever their preferred kit is to engineer your waveforms so that they will work well in the vinyl medium, because you have to mix stuff specifically for each medium that you're gonna like release it on, you know? Since I release tracks digitally, and only digitally these days, I am pretty low-key about mastering. I'm not mastering right now. I use this BX Master Desk for processing my mix bus, because it has some really nice sounding compression and just kind of stuff to tighten up and clean up that mix bus, apply some nice EQs to really bring things together. So that's what I'm using it for here. Mastering is a separate step. If I were mastering, we wouldn't have all these tracks separated out. So it's called Master Desk. Not using it for mastering here, but it is a good use case for it. I think this software is a little pricey. It's like 150 bucks, but I got it on sale. I got it for like $25 on Plugin Alliance. BrainWorks stuff goes on sale a lot, like pretty frequently. I love this, but there's also a whole bunch of other similar kind of one plugin compressor, de-esser, limiter, like stuff you can use for mastering and mixing down your tracks. There's some really good quality free stuff. I have a free one called Limiter Number 6 that I use when Master Desk doesn't sound great. Limiter Number 6 is different enough that it will often really make things pop off. And that one is free. So check out Limiter Number 6. I don't even know who made it. It's some guy developed it, and it's really excellent. Maybe I'll use that on a track soon so I can show it off. I've used this one a lot. So yeah, there's a lot of options, but we're using Master Desk today for this. And one complaint that I have about Master Desk is you can see this dynamic range meter. it does not have a very high refresh rate. So it says that our dynamic range is 5. If we add this dynamic range meter refreshes a lot more frequently, and you can see we have kind of sweet spot here, right? Dynamic range of 9, 8. That's really good. That's a good dynamic range to have at this stage before mastering. So don't listen to Master Desk. It doesn't refresh frequently enough, especially for this genre of music. Maybe it was like recording like an acoustic band or something. Like, I would be concerned. But yeah, for electronic music, this dynamic range meter fucking sucks. I actually turned down the compression a bit. So this PhD knob, this is nice. It adds almost like dithering kind of distortion to your mix. Not really something you can even hear, but it masks some of the artifacts that can come up from audio processing. Nice stuff. Foundation impacts your bass sounds. And I always crank it because I fucking love the low end. Forever a bassist at heart. Might be a little too high. It's pretty good on 6. We'll leave it on 6. Turn this up. De-esser will remove some of the harshness from our hi-hats and shaker hits. Even though we don't have vocals, de-essing can be a really powerful tool. So we can even solo the de-esser. And you can hear this is what the de-esser is removing from the mix. So you can hear it's almost all hi-hat. And that makes the hi-hat sound much more mellow and nestle in to the mix much better. And I'm just going to make sure that after all of our processing, this is still a good spot for the track to end. And by that I mean all those ringing outs have stopped. Yes, it is. Okay. So now the last thing I'm going to do, in terms of this mixing tool, and maybe even mixing this track, because I'm quite pleased with this, we're actually going to go back to Master Desk. And I'm just gonna do... So right now we're soloing the stereo. So this is the stuff from this stereo enhance knob. It's stuff that you wouldn't hear if you have mono speakers. We have a lot of weird noise in there, so I might actually turn up this. That sounds better. Less funky noise happening. Turn the compressor up a little bit. Turn that dithering distortion up a little bit. And then we can also solo the mono. So this is what's going to be, if somebody only has mono speakers, or whatever, for whatever reason you're listening to it mono, we can actually hear what the track will sound like on a mono speaker system. And that's really important because sometimes people are listening in suboptimal conditions, and you don't want your track to sound like total fucking garbage, right? You want to make sure it sounds okay at least. And let's just jump to this end bit. Do the same thing. Yep, so that sounds right. And then we got that nice pulsing happening from our compressors, sidechain compressors. Full package sounds boss. Yeah. All right. I think I'm comfortable calling this track done. It's not mastered, obviously, but I feel comfortable saying that this track is done in terms of mixing and everything like that. So I can render it out and call that a day. Yeah. Let's give the track a listen from the top. And I don't need to render it on stream. You know what? You guys don't need to watch me render audio. That's weird. But let's listen to this track from the top. Listen to it all the way through. And just make sure. But I'm pretty sure that we are good with this song. And I don't remember if this is track 4. No, this is track 5. It's in the track name. Look at that. Track 5. Oh, you guys can't see it. Hold on. Let me save. And then bring it down. There you go. See? 2023, track 5. So that's track 5 for the album that I am currently working on, which is this weird concept thing where each track is primarily made using a single software synthesizer, and the tracks are going to be named after the synthesizers. And so this one, as you can see, is going to be called Stratum, because I'm using primarily Stratum. And yeah, let's give it a listen. So for this section here, this is too loud. This arpeggiator is too loud. It's very distracting. And some ba-ba-da. And actually, I wanna remove these. And I don't use envelopes a ton. Envelope defaults, this is what we want. Default point shape, I want square. Because what I want to do is just throw a point there, point about there. I want it right there. Let me get rid of. And then for this intro bit, I just want to turn down this volume a little bit. Alright, I think that'll be much better. Let's give that a try. From the top! From the top! And I'm actually... First little one. I'm gonna actually bring down even more. Not a ton more, just a little more. Just to ease that in. I don't want it to be too jarring. This is kind of like really delicate work, I know. It might not be exciting, but it'll be worth it! It'll be worth it! I like that better. I'm just gonna move this. I didn't want to notice the level. What are you at? 3.4. I can just get it to minus 3.4 there. Yep. That's it. Yes. I dig that. I think that's done. I think that's done. So, we did finish the song. That was the goal of the stream. We did it. I'm gonna save one more time. And let's just zip over to Adaptive screen. Yeah, we've got some BGM. This was an excellent Synthesizer Saturday. Got through a track. I hope that it was a bit more interesting. I feel like it was a lot more interesting to watch and enjoy than last week's Synthesizer Saturday, where I was just kind of plunking away, composing, and it was maybe not the most exciting stuff. I feel like this was a lot more interesting because we had an actual song we were listening to and working on and building up, and you know, it's a little bit more dynamic viewing experience, I think. I'm hopeful that in the future, future Synthesizer Saturdays can be more like this week and less like last week. So initially, when I was doing these, I thought it would be cool to go front to back, full creative process, right? Starting from nothing for every track. But the more I've done it, the more I feel like that's not only not necessary, but perhaps undesirable. Where for some tracks, especially like this one, where I had a lot of lead lines to write and tweak and really kind of hash out, that part of the creative process isn't really exciting to watch. It's not that interesting. Part of it is because I'm not a huge keyboard player, right? Like, I'm not a great keyboard player, so trying to plunk out these melody parts on the keyboard requires a bunch of takes, even for simple stuff, and then I still gotta go in and sometimes tweak the MIDI, and it's just like, ugh. Nah. Not the best. But that was last week. This week, we came in with a base of a track. We had some parts written. The leads were mostly together. And so there was a lot of, like, when I was editing MIDI, it was taking MIDI that I already had and creating some harmonization, changing some of the notes but keeping the rhythm, etc. Things like that for different parts, adding the same parts to different instruments. It just worked better. It worked better. It was more interesting. So we are gonna call it here, I think. Thank y'all for hanging out with me today. And I'm hopeful that, again, future Saturday streams will be more exciting like this one was, where we actually have some stuff to work with. I'll do a little bit of prep on the tracks. Not sure what we're gonna work on next week, but hopefully it'll be fun. That's the goal. I will be around tomorrow, and it'll be our Sunday crossword hangout and chill kind of stream, where we do the crossword puzzle together, have brunch, lazy Sunday, that kind of deal. And I will catch you then. Until then, y'all have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Enjoy your Saturday. And I will see you tomorrow morning.